Reclaiming Timeless Ways. Mike Traster, Simon Fuller, and you along with us for another episode. Episode number 73, Mike. And
73.
The title of 73 is?
Verbal self-preservation.
Okay. I like to self-preserve.
It's a good hobby,
Yeah.
and it's necessary. So somebody takes a dump on you. They state or implied something that you did was bad,
Okay.
and it's false. So, without attacking them, the first instinct is to want to get a 16-pound sledgehammer and like one of the cartoon characters with the anvil.
Yeah.
And just go, oh, finished forever.
Yeah.
It has been removed from the universe.
Yeah.
But we get punished for doing that,
Yeah.
right or wrong.
Well, some people maybe deserve it, but that's a whole different show, Mike. I won't take us down that rabbit hole.
No. So, what do you do?
Yeah. It is. It's a great question because oftentimes there was a show or two or three ago, I don't remember exactly, and when that happens, you can again get in a tornado. We did that earlier of anger and
Right.
and how do you process that?
Right.
And you said something in a show where, it's basically how you react to whatever that scenario is. So what are you gonna do? I know the right answer, but that's because right now I'm not pissed off at somebody for just doing that to me.
Right.
You know,
Especially
in
if they
that
do
moment.
it. Especially if they do it in front of an audience.
Right, right.
You know.
And there are people that are really good because they prefer the audience. They
Oh,
wouldn't
they
do it one-on-one.
No.
They're doing it for the
Because
audience.
they're spreading poison,
Right,
right? They're creating a wound and then they're infecting it all at once.
yeah,
They want it to travel. We're talking about somebody who's malicious.
yeah,
And that's a form of defamation.
right,
You know, it can be expensive,
Yeah.
socially, financially, in a lot of ways. So if you attack back, sometimes you wind up embroiling them, and then maybe you wind up in a court struggle,
yeah.
right?
Well, I like to watch NFL and college football, and you hear the announcers say it all the time. Who'd the flag get thrown on, Mike? The guy who reacted. It's that second person that gets caught oftentimes too.
Yeah,
So you did nothing wrong in the beginning,
right.
or my children who are 11 and 9 respectively, he did it, no, she did it, no, he did it, she did it. You're both doing it right now.
But
So-
there's a provocateur who's really
Correct. There's
far more guilty.
correct. There's always an initiator.
Right.
And I tell them that. Somebody did start it, I
Right.
understand that. But you asked, what do you do with that? And what you do there's a cause and effect to everything. And so what do you do? Well,
Well, the more you react, the more they're in control,
yeah, sure. Sure.
And that, you know what? That is 100% truth. It's also 100% bullshit, lazy-ass cliche. Right? Hey, yeah, the more you react. It's like meaningless garbage. It's like we say things like that. We repeat these cultural cliches as a way of not thinking.
Right.
That's number 23B. Click. So if I react, they own my time and my energy.
Right.
And people are watching them pull the string, and all of a sudden my hand goes like I'm a marionette, right?
Right.
So the more they pull the string, they're getting off.
Right.
They're absolutely getting their jollies, and I'm controlled.
Right.
I can't break away, So you can say something. Some people believe in saying nothing. There's biblical reference to not defending ourselves.
Right. Turn the cheek.
Turn the cheek, but there's other about, it's going to clean itself up in time.
Right.
And the more you object, the more strenuously and the more rage you put into objecting to it, sometimes it makes people consider it as being legitimate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know. So, I mean, you can say something like, you don't have to say that is your opinion. You can say that may be your opinion.
Right.
I'm not sure why you're saying that.
Sure.
As far as I'm concerned, that has no relationship to the truth,
Right.
right? But you don't blow up.
Sure.
You don't get into verbal fisticuffs with them.
Right.
If you can help it. And you might even say, we're going to end this interaction. If they're in your house, you can invite them to leave, and, put a distance between, say, maybe we shouldn't continue to have social contact.
Sure.
This is not healthy. So you define it as being unhealthy, and then you distance yourself. Now, one of the things about this that's so enraging and outrageous is if somebody comes in the room, let's say I'm wearing a white shirt, and they pour red wine on my white shirt,
Right.
it will never be a white shirt again,
Right.
right? It's stained. So if they say you're a thief or a liar, right?
Right.
Stained, or you did something wrong, they interpret something innocent as being wrong, You go and you put that stain remover on that shirt. It's not bright red anymore. Now it's pink.
Yeah.
And everybody goes, interesting shirt,
Yeah.
So you wash it again, and it's a lighter pink. You wash it 20 times, it's never going to be white.
Right.
So there's some damage. There's some leakage that's permanent. It affects your reputation. It does.
Yeah.
It does, And, I mean, you can go to some select people and you can explain what happened briefly. The more enraged you are, generally, the less people will give you credibility,
Right.
you
They assume there's a bit of guilt in that emotion.
Yeah, that's probably it, But if you say, hey, here's what actually happened. I remember once talking to this woman that owned a store, an ugly woman, ugly, just dog crap ugly. She had very pretty eyes, but the rest of her was like an old baseball glove, And she was depressed and angry at her husband, angry at her business, angry at a large health organization that she had once worked with. And she unloaded all this on me. We talked 3 or 4 times. One day I'm in my driveway, and that was it, right? Ugly woman. And very negative.
So personality-wise too, physically and
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
on
There
all
was a
fronts.
baseball glove on the inside as well as on the outside.
right.
And I'm getting in my car to go somewhere, and a cop comes flying in my driveway. This is interesting. This little gal, lady cop, she doesn't work here anymore. Very nice. She goes, I have a complaint that's been filed against you. Really? What am I supposed to have done? She explains it to me. You're not welcome in that establishment anymore. So there's no way I would go back there. And then she said somebody said that I had called them every day for like a month or 2. And I said, I'll tell you what. I told her what happened. I described the woman. The cop starts laughing. She's really amused at the whole thing. And I said, I'll tell you what. I will sign a release giving you permission to look at my phone records. Since this woman has claimed that I called them every day, I'll give you carte blanche. You look at my phone records as far back as you want. But then I want you to file charges against her for making a false report.
Right.
She looks at me. She's like, ooh, you're pretty serious about this, aren't you? I said, I'm very serious. This is my reputation.
Right.
What she's saying didn't happen, right? So she says, just don't go there anymore. She's embarrassed because she said she spilled her own guts, and now she doesn't like that she did that. So she's making you the problem.
Yeah.
Right? And I never went back there.
Yeah.
That was the end of it. She's a jackass. And the subject was closed.
Sure.
Several people came up to me and told me that she had been running around the neighborhood spilling this crap about me. And I remember one woman in particular, she just shook her head and looked at me and said, she was really, two women, said that was really wrong of her. You know, so apparently if they were going to say it to me, they probably said it to others.
Yeah.
Did it have no effect on me? No, it affected me.
Yeah.
I remember walking into another business and being looked at, you know, askance.
And you're wondering, yeah, is
Right.
that
So
why?
there was still some red wine on my white shirt.
Right.
So it affected me. But what are you going to do? You're going to embroil your life in this shit,
Right.
right? Now, if you do that, they own you.
Right.
So, and it's not like like I don't react internally. I do. I'm angry about it. It's unjust. But now, am I describing the woman in any personal detail? No. Why? Why would I want to be back on the hook?
Yeah.
Am I describing their business in any detail? No. Same reason, right? So it could be any one of dozens of places, right?
Right.
Why? I don't need that hook,
Yeah.
right? But I moved away from it, and I imagine they lost some business.
Yeah. Well, attention seeking, those individuals are absolute attention seekers. So that's a piece of it. Like you said, they want the audience, they want
There's a
the
drama.
they want
Yeah, they're disturbed.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's apparently, you know, it's a new trend. The victim is always going to play the victim game.
Well, I think part of that, Mike, you know, you talk about some of these things that have happened, and others probably have a story like that where
Oh,
you
yeah.
were called out for something that wasn't entirely or at all true.
Right.
I remember such a story with my wife, and she was pretty upset with somebody. And so the first thing you asked is, what do you do? And you process that through, and our title is, you know, the self-preservation. And then a piece of that is the self-affirmation. And you were talking a little bit to me before we started this show about something that you were battling with, unrelated, but you were saying, so how do I deal with it when I have this hiccup in my world? What grace do I give myself? And a piece of that is, it's almost like forgiveness in a sense. You've got to do that to let it go,
Right.
so it doesn't own you.
Right.
And so the self-affirmations and the conversations and who you are in you helps you get through a lot of crappy situations like the one you just described.
Now, I'll tell you, because our culture has changed so much, and my background was in herbalism, counseling, and nursing, right? And back work, I had considered going into massage therapy.
Okay.
But I've seen enough people behave that way, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
It's just a setup
yeah,
for men.
Right.
It's a setup. You know, it's like unless you work with 5 other people and your door is always open, there's always a witness,
yeah.
there's always going to be a nut job that's going to,
Eventually,
they're
it's a
going
numbers
to, they
game.
will play that card.
Yeah,
You know, and it's like, you know, doing therapeutic work with your hands is a wonderful thing.
yeah,
Not worth it.
yeah,
Not worth it. So, the harder you work to persuade people of your innocence, the more desperate you look.
yeah,
So don't. And I think falsehoods generally get proven by time.
exactly.
And
It's absolutely true.
right.
Because you're not, these accusers, you're not the only accused in their world, and it doesn't
no.
take long for the holes to get punched in them.
Yeah. Yeah,
For who
it's
they
an,
are, for who they are to look like Swiss cheese. It was a reference Mike made earlier.
yeah.
Doesn't take long for people to learn their personality matches that.
Right. So, you know, people see you and they see who you are in the community. Now, if somebody said, I want to accuse Mike of not being hypersocial, I'd say, you're 100% right.
Right.
I am not hypersocial. You know, I'm 20% social and 80% solitary,
Yeah,
you know.
right.
Do I hate people? No, I love people. Do I like them? Not always.
Right.
I love them, but I don't necessarily like
Sure.
them. But, so somebody would look at that and they would say, no, that's not true. You know, so you're, you know, in a sense, over time, who you are defines itself,
Sure.
you know. And now,
The flip slap? The flip slap. We are wrapped up.
that
That wraps up 73. We'll hope you'll catch up with us on 74 here in a couple weeks. Thank you, Mike, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Reclaiming Timeless Ways. Have a great day.